It was exactly 7 p.m. Everything felt normal, quiet, peaceful. But at 7:01, something changed. She heard a knock on the door, even though no one was supposed to be there. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number.
Chapter 19. Desert Arrival. Ryan landed at Harry Reid International at 11:40 a.m. on a Tuesday. Las Vegas from the air looked like a circuit board dropped in the middle of nothing, all grid and light and hard geometry, surrounded on every side by empty desert the color of old bone. Even in November, the light was brutal. It came off everything at once, off the tarmac and the terminal glass and the distant mountains, a flat white light that left no shadows at the right angles and made everything look slightly unreal. He had not slept on the plane. He had spent the flight reading the Resonance Site Analytics document for the 4th time, going through it the way you go through something when you're looking not for what's there, but for what's missing, what someone chose not to include, what the gaps in the data suggested. The 12th property was called Desert Palms Residential. 48 units, 3 stories, located on the northwestern edge of the Las Vegas metro area, in a corridor of new development that had been pushing outward into the desert for the past 4 years as the city absorbed people faster than it could house them comfortably in its center. The site analysis in the document was different from the others. The other 11 properties had relied on old-growth trees, hollow trunks, natural chambers, organic acoustic infrastructure built over decades by nature and exploited by people who knew what to look for. Desert Palms had no old-growth trees. The Nevada desert didn't produce them. Ryan had spent an hour on the plane staring at that fact before its implication landed. If there were no natural hollow trees, if the land itself didn't provide the acoustic infrastructure, then someone had built it. Torres had sent him everything the Nevada field office had pulled in the past 72 hours. The Desert Palms site had been under construction for 14 months. Standard permits, standard contractors, standard inspections, all clean, all signed off by the appropriate Clark County departments. But buried in the construction records, in a subcontractor filing that had been submitted 3 months into the build, was a line item that the Nevada field office had flagged and Torres had forwarded to Ryan with a single word in the subject line: "Look." The line item read, "Acoustic Infrastructure Installation, Resonance Environmental Systems, LLC, $340,000. Acoustic infrastructure. $340,000. Ryan had looked up Resonance Environmental Systems, LLC, Nevada registration, 18 months old, listed business, custom acoustic and environmental engineering solutions for residential and commercial properties. The registered agent was a Nevada attorney. The attorney's other clients, per the state bar's public records, included 4 other shell companies, all registered within the same 6-month window, all with similarly vague business descriptions. Someone had built the infrastructure, on purpose, had engineered it from scratch, had looked at what naturally occurring hollow trees did in the right topographic conditions, and had decided that waiting for nature was inefficient. Ryan thought about what $300,000 of custom acoustic...
Chapter 20. The Inside Man. The email came at 2 a.m. Ryan was in his hotel room, a bland business hotel 6 miles from the Desert Palms site, with the curtains open and the Las Vegas night glowing orange through the glass, the city's light pollution making the sky look like something was permanently on fire just over the horizon. He'd been going through the construction permits again, looking for names, looking for the human beings behind the paperwork. The email arrived from the same string of numbers address that had sent him the client list. This time there was text. "You found the columns." Ryan stared at the screen. He typed back, "Who are you?" The response came in 40 seconds. "Someone who helped build this and cannot live with what it is. I'm not going to tell you my name yet. If this goes wrong, I need to be able to disappear. But I'll tell you what you need to know. The columns are hollow, cast concrete with an interior chamber 60 centimeters in diameter, running the full height. Each one is connected by underground conduit to the building's central air handling unit. The AHU has been modified, a second control board installed inside the standard housing. It looks like standard equipment to anyone who doesn't know what they're looking for. The second board controls airflow volume and routing through the column network. At a specific airflow setting, the columns resonate at 17.5 Hertz. That's the target frequency. Consistent, controllable, and completely invisible to standard building inspection. The switch is digital. It can be operated remotely, from anywhere. Ryan read the message 3 times. He typed, "Why are you telling me this?" A longer pause this time, almost 3 minutes. Then, "Because I have a daughter. She's 7. I keep thinking about the children in those buildings. I keep thinking about what 17.5 Hertz does to a developing brain over months of repeated exposure. I have a PhD in acoustic engineering. I know exactly what it does. I designed this system knowing exactly what it does. I need you to stop it before December 1st. I need someone else to stop it because I'm not brave enough to do it myself. And I know that about myself, and I have to live with that." Ryan sat with that for a moment. He thought about what it cost someone to write those words. He typed, "I need the second control board documented. Photographs, specifications, serial numbers, everything that proves the modification exists and what it does. Can you get that?" "I already have it. I've had it for 2 months. I didn't know who to send it to." "I'll send it now." The files arrived over the next 4 minutes. 31 photographs, technical specifications. Chapter 21, 17 days. The emergency building inspection was denied, not on merit, on jurisdiction. Desert Palms sat in an unincorporated area of Clark County, where the inspection authority was shared between 2 agencies, and Pell's attorneys had filed a jurisdictional challenge within 4 hours of Torres's application, kicking it into an administrative review process that would take, at minimum, 10 to 14 business days. 14 business days. The building opened in 17. Torres called him with the news at 11 a.m. Her voice was flat in the specific way of someone who has been in law enforcement long enough to be unsurprised by obstruction, but not long enough to be unaffected by it. "They anticipated the inspection challenge," Ryan said. "Yes, which means they knew we were coming. It means someone with legal sophistication built a jurisdictional ambiguity into the site selection deliberately. The location isn't an accident. Nothing about this is an accident." Torres paused. "The warrant for the AHU access is still in process. Different track, federal jurisdiction, cleaner. But the judge wants additional technical documentation before she'll sign it." "What kind of documentation?" "She wants expert testimony that the modified control board constitutes a health hazard, not supposition, documented expert analysis." Ryan closed his eyes briefly. "Claire Vasquez," he said. "I've already called her. She's willing to submit an affidavit. She needs the technical schematics." "She has them. I sent them to her last night." "I know. She's drafting the affidavit now. But Ryan," she stopped. "Even best case, the warrant takes 3 to 5 days. The inspection challenge takes 10 to 14. We might not have legal access to that building before December 1st. The silence between them was the silence of a very specific math problem. 17 days until opening, 48 units, families with moving trucks booked. "There's another option," Ryan said. Torres was quiet, waiting. The leases, Ryan said. If we can get the lease agreements for Desert Palms, prove they contain the same page 7 structure as Silver Oak and Pinecrest, we can go to the AG's office with a consumer fraud filing, emergency injunction to halt leasing activity. The leases are private contracts. I can't subpoena them without the warrant. And the warrant, I'm not talking about a subpoena, Ryan said. A very careful pause. Ryan, someone with access to the building's documentation sent me the client list and the AHU schematics. That same person might have access to the lease templates. If that person provides you with documents obtained through unauthorized access to a private system, the documents would come to me, a journalist, who would review them and determine whether they constitute evidence of consumer fraud. Chapter 22. 14 days. The Nevada AG's emergency filing landed on a Tuesday. It was built on 3 things: the lease language, Claire Vasquez's affidavit on the AHU modification, and a consolidated summary of the Silver Oak and Pinecrest cases establishing pattern of conduct. Pell's attorneys responded within 6 hours. They were very good. Ryan had expected them to be very good. They challenged the lease analysis on grounds that Exhibit E constituted adequate disclosure under Nevada Consumer Protection Statute. They challenged the Vasquez affidavit on grounds that she had not personally inspected the Desert Palms AHU and was therefore offering speculative rather than empirical testimony. They challenged the pattern of conduct argument on grounds that Pell had not been convicted of anything in connection with Silver Oak or Pinecrest, and that pending charges in another state were inadmissible as evidence of intent in Nevada. Each challenge was technically sound. Each one would take time to answer. The AG's office had 14 days. Ryan spent those 14 days in Las Vegas. He ate bad hotel food and slept badly and worked constantly and checked his mirrors more than was probably rational and called Torres every morning at 8 and Sonia every evening at 6 and Dina Calloway twice, once to confirm that she and Amara had successfully relocated, once just to hear that Amara's night terrors had stopped. They had stopped. That mattered. He held on to it. He walked past the Desert Palms building every day, never stopped, never lingered, just walked past on the public sidewalk like anyone might, looking at the new construction, the gleaming facade, the banner that still read Grand Opening December 1st and now had a smaller banner beneath it, only 6 units remaining. 42 of 48 units already leased. 42 families with moving trucks booked and deposits paid. He kept walking. On day 11, the inside man made contact again, not by email this time. Ryan was in a coffee shop 4 blocks from his hotel when a man sat down across from him without invitation. Mid-40s, academic look, wire-frame glasses, the slightly rumpled quality of someone whose brain moved faster than his organizational systems. He put his coffee on the table and looked at Ryan with the expression of a man who had made a decision he was not entirely certain about and had decided to live with it anyway. "I'm Marcus," he said. "That's my real name. I decided you should have it." Ryan looked at him. "You built the column system," Ryan said. "I designed it, yes." Marcus wrapped both hands around his coffee cup. His hands were steady, Ryan noticed. Whatever this was costing him, he had already paid most of it before he sat down. "I have a PhD in architectural acoustics from MIT. I've spent 20 years designing concert halls and recording studios and performance spaces, optimizing sound, making spaces where sound does exactly what you want it to do." He paused. "Pell found me 4 years ago. He told me he was developing a line of residential properties with innovative acoustic wellness features, reduced urban noise intrusion, optimized frequency environments for sleep quality. He had research, real research, Chapter 23. 3 days. Marcus Chen submitted his testimony to the Nevada AG's office at 9 a.m. on a Thursday. It was 41 pages long. It described, with the precision of a man who had spent 20 years making sound do exactly what he wanted, the complete design and function of the Desert Palms acoustic system. It included original design documents, frequency calculations, target amplitude specifications, and a clear, unambiguous statement of what 17.5 Hz sustained exposure does to the human neurological system. It also included something Ryan hadn't known about: a recording. Marcus had made it 6 weeks earlier in the empty building before any residents moved in. He had activated the column system remotely. He still had access credentials, a fact he had not disclosed to Pell, and had recorded the output using his own calibrated equipment. The recording was 17 seconds long. You couldn't hear anything in it. 17.5 Hz was below the threshold of human hearing. But the spectral analysis graph attached to the recording showed the frequency peak clearly, precisely, unmistakably. A clean line at 17.5 Hz, consistent amplitude, exactly as designed. Pell's attorneys received the testimony filing at 9:07 a.m. By 9:34 a.m., Torres had called Ryan to tell him that Pell's lead attorney had contacted the FBI's Chicago field office requesting a meeting. By 10:15, Lawrence Pell had retained a second law firm. By noon, Torres called again. Her voice was different this time, still controlled, but with something underneath it that Ryan had not heard from her before. The ISP records came back on the Desert Palms remote access system, she said, the IP address that accessed the acoustic control board. And it was accessed 47 times in the past 6 months, Torres said, mostly from a Chicago IP registered to one of Pell's shell companies, but 11 of those accesses came from a different IP. Different how? A VPN exit node in Eastern Europe, untraceable in normal circumstances. A pause. But 3 of those 11 accesses had a fingerprinting error in the VPN configuration that exposed the originating network. What originating?
Chapter 24, December 1st. The building did not open on December 1st. At 7 a.m., a Clark County Sheriff's vehicle and 2 FBI sedans were parked in the Desert Palms lot. At 8 a.m., a team of federal agents and a court-appointed acoustic engineer entered the building with a warrant signed the previous afternoon. The warrant had been signed 37 minutes after Marcus Chen's testimony reached the judge's desk. The column system was exactly where Marcus had described it. The modified HU control board was exactly as photographed. The underground conduit network connecting 13 hollow columns to the building's central air handling system was, once the engineering team pulled up 3 sections of landscaping, precisely as designed. The acoustic engineer ran the system at reduced power with monitoring equipment in place. The spectral analysis showed a clean peak at 17.5 Hz. The court reporter documented everything. Ryan was not there. He was in his hotel room, watching a live local news feed on his laptop. A reporter standing in front of the Desert Palms entrance talking about the federal investigation. The building behind her cordoned off with law enforcement tape. The grand opening banner still visible over the leasing office door. Torres called him at 9:47 a.m. "It's done," she said. "The building is sealed. Pell's attorneys are filing motions, but there's nothing left to file motions about. The physical evidence is documented. Chain of custody is clean, and Chen's testimony is on record. Pell, his attorneys have indicated he's prepared to discuss cooperation in exchange for charge consideration, which means he's about to tell us everything he knows about resonance site analytics and whatever we don't know yet. The other 11 properties," Ryan said. "The 6 active ones. All 6 are under emergency health review as of this morning. Residents are being notified and relocated with state assistance. 219 units." Ryan sat with that for Chapter 25, after. He was back in Chicago by 3 p.m. He went home, made coffee, stood at the kitchen window for a moment looking at the street below. The L tracks, the ordinary urban afternoon. people moving with their particular city purposefulness, heads down against the November cold. He thought about all the buildings in that view, about how many people were behind those windows right now, in apartments they had chosen because it seemed like a good deal, a safe place, finally something they could afford in a city that kept making affordability feel like a moving target. He thought about all the leases they had signed, about all the page 7s they had not read. Sonia ran the final piece on a Sunday. It was the longest thing she had written for the Tribune in 11 years. 12,000 words. It started with Birchgate Commons in Ohio and ended with the Desert Palms parking lot on December 1st, and it named every name and documented every property and included Marcus Chen's spectral analysis graph and Claire Vasquez's expert testimony and the Cook County Corrections Department's wireless network gap that had allowed Harold Marsh to operate a building's acoustic weapon system from a jail cell. It also included, in the second-to-last paragraph, the following. The lease agreements used across all 12 residence properties contained a clause, buried in the document's middle section, that purported to disclose the acoustic system's existence and obtain tenant consent. Legal analysts consulted for this piece were uniform in their assessment. The language was technically a disclosure. It was also, in practice, completely invisible to the average person signing a lease. Epilogue, April. Ryan Walsh still works as a data analyst. He still lives alone in Chicago. He still hates city noise, though he has made a kind of peace with it. He checks his windows sometimes. Not every night, but sometimes. He thinks about Marcus Chun and a 7-year-old named Lily, somewhere he doesn't know, starting over. He hopes the somewhere is good. He thinks about the old man in the Silver Oak courtyard. The red eyes, the hands too cold. He never found out who he was. That stays with him, a loose thread he has learned to carry. He thinks about the 4 people who died. He thinks about the 219 families in 6 states. He thinks about the 42 families who had deposits down on Desert Palms and came home one day to a letter saying the building has been sealed and your move-in is suspended. Who had to call their landlords and beg for more time. Who had to explain to their children that they weren't moving after all. Not yet, maybe soon. He thinks about what it cost them. He thinks about what it would have cost them if no one had stopped it. The system that Pell built is dismantled. The buildings are closed or remediated or being remediated. The charges are filed. But the system existed for 11 years before anyone outside it knew it was running. And the same knowledge that built it, the acoustic science, the topographic site selection, the legal disclosure architecture, that knowledge doesn't disappear because the people who weaponize it are in custody or cooperation. Someone else already knows it. Someone else may already be counting hollow trees or building new ones. Ryan Walsh sits at his kitchen table in Chicago on an April evening with the window open. He opens his laptop. He keeps working. The infrasound effects described in this story are documented in peer-reviewed research. The neurological impact of sustained subaudible frequency exposure, anxiety, sleep disruption, visual anomalies, the sensation of a presence in tea.